So we were on this stretch of the one dirt road that goes across the Amazon, Transamazonica, it's called. And to get to where we needed to go, which was to meet with an organization has this very cool program with local family farmers, the trip there took 10 and a half hours. It's like that road that we were on in Chile. A little bit of rain and the dusty stuff turns to mud. And man, our adventure in Chile was just flashing in my mind.
Yeah, that was Argentina that we went off the road.
What was Argentina? Yeah, you're right. Trying to get to Chile.
Yeah, we were trying to get to Torres del Paine. Does that cross into Chile?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down at the tip of Patagonia.
But anyway, it was deja vu. Crowned, muddy road, tail end just sliding, and I wasn't driving. And it's worse when you're not driving because...
Yeah, see, I did the hard part, not driving that time. Finally, you appreciate what I put into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do now. But you had a much better approach to being the navigator, which was just fall asleep, sleep through the whole thing.
That was a different time. That was the time when it was
That was the overnight.
And raining.
I know.
But
I just want to make fun of you.
I was the navigator who put us on that dirt road because I looked at the map and I was like, well, this way looks a lot shorter.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong? And about a mile in, it became dirt, but we just thought, we don't want to go back. Who knows?
There was no GPS back then, but there should have been common sense. I think that spans all time periods.
Yeah. All's well that ends well.
Yep. Makes for a good story.
Well, let's talk about what we're here to talk about today, which is something really exciting that is brand new for GoodBed. Obviously, we've had a lot of videos that we've done for consumers that are focused on specific products, and occasionally we do a video on a more educational topic that we think is of interest to consumers. But this is going to be an entire series of videos that is really targeted at consumers that highlights this. It's really educational content for people who want to understand this product category better, who are concerned about sleep quality, want to make sure they're making good choices as it relates to the mattress that they are picking out. And what we're trying to highlight in this series is what really does quality mean? I mean, there's a number of themes that we'll get at, but I think that's a central one. We're calling it the GoodBed Quality Series. So I think the concept of what quality means, and not only just what does it mean in theory, but how does it show up in practice, both in terms of the final product and how you ultimately experience that product, whether in terms of the durability or various performance characteristics, but also if you're just wanting to be smarter as a consumer, it's helpful to understand where do those ultimate results come from? What are all the little decisions that get made in the design and manufacturing of a mattress that ultimately lead to those outcomes? And so I think this is a really critical topic for a savvy shopper to understand. And I think it's a very critical time in this industry for a spotlight to be shown on this topic, because right now consumers are getting bombarded with more misinformation and disinformation than ever as it relates to products. And it's very confusing. And there's a lot of what I would call claims parity, because essentially you have so many products that are being sold online without any showrooms, without any salespeople, without any expert guidance to go on, which leaves you with just the information that is provided by the manufacturer. And of course, the manufacturers don't hold any bars in terms of what claims they want to make. They're like, how about we say it does everything? Let's go ahead and just go with, check all the boxes. Yep. It's pressure relieving, cooling, supportive, durable. When they can say that, and they can say so with impunity, because the retail platform, the online website where they're being sold isn't going to check them on that. And there's no one else that's part of the consumer's journey to check them on that. Well, when that happens, the consumer has no way of knowing, is that real? And the reality is, of course, in most cases, it isn't. But it's hard to know as a consumer because it's not always real when the more expensive products either, for that matter.
We hear from consumers, right? So they're chatting to us, they're calling us. So we talk to consumers all the time, and we know that they do care about quality. So they want to know what differentiates it. But if their only source of information is just searching the products available on Amazon, they're not getting exposed to any of that.
Yeah. And they want to know about quality specifically as it relates to the characteristics that matter to them in a mattress. It's not the abstract version of quality. I mean, there is maybe that translates to durability or purity in terms of lack of off gassing and so forth. But specifically, they also care about, maybe in my case, I sleep with a partner and I'm a light sleeper. So I really care about motion isolation. I don't want just the lip service of the claim, which again is one of those things really almost anybody could say, but I want one that actually is really good at that. That's important. Or maybe it's edge support, or it's got to be really adjustable base compatible, or it's got to use natural materials or whatever. There's a million things about a mattress that we obviously evaluate, but also that manufacturers in the design and construction of those products make all kinds of decisions to try to make sure that they deliver to varying degrees, and there's different levels of investment a manufacturer can make. So the premise of this podcast series is to basically go into some conversations with people who really, really know this stuff. They know it because they've been on the front lines building mattresses for, in most cases, the people we're talking to,
Decades.
decades. And so they know exactly what are those decisions they're constantly faced every time they make a mattress. Essentially, you could think of it as they're making choices, assuming they're not spending 1,000 times what a normal mattress would cost to make it. They're ultimately making trade-offs about where they're spending their money and where they want to pay a little bit more to get a certain result and where they think that it matters less. And so we're diving into all those questions with them to try to really understand that and ultimately help consumers make a better choice so that they can sleep better and so that they ultimately get the true health benefits of this product.
Exactly. And another thing that I'm excited about is the people we're interviewing and talking with on this podcast are people that the consumer never gets to interact with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their interaction starts online. Then if they go into a store, they're interacting with a salesperson on the floor of the retailer. They're never getting to meet the people who are the experts who actually design, build, and produce the products themselves. So I think it's pretty cool to get a behind the scenes look and access to these experts that the consumer would never meet otherwise. So I
Mm-hmm.
think consumers will like that. It also personalizes a brand, right? And I feel much more of a connection if I'm learning about how the product is made from an actual human being who is explaining it to me. It makes me
Is
feel
on the
so
front
much.
lines who made these decisions, and we talk a lot about how, because of the nature of this product and it's compounded, the problem is compounded by the sort of lack of transparency in some of these platforms, particularly the ones like the online marketplace platforms that have become larger in recent years. But because fundamentally this product is a blind purchase, there's a disconnect between how much a manufacturer puts into the product in terms of the quality or performance and how much credit they ultimately get from consumers for that. I sometimes use an analogy of, if you make a bicycle and you invest in better brakes, you put some higher end brakes on there, the people riding that bicycle are going to squeeze those brakes and feel the responsiveness and feel the stopping power of those better brakes. And it'll be evident. If you're making a golf club and you put a better shaft in it or some carbon fiber face on the driver and it adds 20 yards to your drive, that's demonstrable benefit. It's much harder for a consumer, especially, to see the demonstrable benefit of some of this quality. And there have historically been no third-party standards to rely upon that can actually give you confidence, that give you evidence that there's real demonstrable benefit. And of course, that's a big part of what we're building now with the industry's very first scientific testing program that we created with Dow. So another great benefit of this series for us, and frankly, one of the key motivators behind us doing this in the first place, was just to make sure that as we build the industry's first scientific testing program that ultimately will be the gold standard for measuring mattresses, we want to make sure that, of course, we're talking to every expert we can. We have not taken a hubristic approach to this. We do feel that we are highly qualified to create this program. However, we're not taking the presumption that we know everything. Far from it. we're going out and we've been from the very beginning seeking input from people who have thought about this as much as we have. Yes, there are some people out there that have thought about this as much as we have. We're discovering, in fact, in some cases, even more so. And it's been incredibly valuable for us. And we are taking feedback wherever we can get it to make sure that the testing methods that we are developing are indeed the absolute best possible ways that you can measure this product and will yield the ultimately best, most accurate, most repeatable, most objective results in terms of the characteristics and performance of this product. So having these conversations with the people that are going to be guests on this podcast partly is informing what we're doing with making this testing program and with developing the methods that we're constantly improving for this program.
Yep. So multiple benefits of having these conversations and recording them and sharing them, not only with the industry, but with consumers. I think it will be of interest to both and valuable to both. And certainly,
Yes.
as you just said, valuable to us. And we appreciate the time and expertise of everybody who you're going to hear and see on this podcast.
And I do think it's a good point you just made about the industry too. I do think that some people listening to this surely will be also people from the industry. I think it'll be very valuable if you work in sales, if you're anywhere in retail and you sell mattresses, particularly mattresses made by the companies that we're talking to. Obviously those are going to be useful insights for you. It's going to give you texture and context that you may not already have about how these products are made or what are these little decisions that shape the ultimate results with the product from someone who knows that product as well as anyone and probably better. So that's going to be great as well. And we'll look forward to feedback from everyone. So the purpose of this episode really is just to introduce the podcast. We did this with our sort of trade-focused podcast that we created called Mic It Up. If you're not familiar with Mic It Up and you do work in the mattress industry, you can go find that on YouTube. That's a podcast that's really about business issues facing the mattress industry. And so it's, consumers are welcome to listen to it. There's no secrets, but it's really focused on the business of mattresses and sort of what are some of the strategic things that mattress makers and sellers ought to be thinking about to make sure that they're really doing right by the consumer. Ultimately, that's our North Star always. So, but this podcast is really consumer forward, consumer first, even though we do expect folks from the industry will get a lot from it as well. We want to make sure that this is consumer first. So we're calling this the GoodBed Quality Series. We're putting it on a new YouTube channel. And by the way, that YouTube channel's name is GoodBed Insider. So again, it's just building on the premise that we want to give consumers access to just a better level of information. We want to raise the level of discourse about this subject. There's a lot of garbage on the internet. Almost all of the information on the internet about mattresses that doesn't come from mattress manufacturers or retailers is garbage. And some of the information that comes from manufacturers and retailers you might even consider to be not the highest of quality either, but certainly most of the other information that you find from supposed independent resources is garbage. It's pay to play content, and it's really
It's also
just
exploded in quantity
it's
with the
exploded in
onset
quantity,
of
and it will
AI.
only get worse with AI. It will only get worse, and so we obviously we're in the fortunate position to really know this category and to know the people in it, and we thought we would take this opportunity to take that sort of platform and use it to raise the level of discourse about this product and how it's made and what consumers really need to know. So this is consumer first. You can find it on GoodBed Insider. And the purpose of this episode is just to introduce what we're going to be doing in this podcast. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here as we start to release these episodes. You subscribe to the channel, make sure you don't miss any of them.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So for now, that's all we have. And in the meantime, we're out.